What's up guys, Dutogiraikonoka here, and welcome to another Blackrock Mountain card review. Today we've gotten 3 new cards from Blizzard, and I will say that I've kind of gone over... They were released sometime last night, from when I did the review of these, and I did glance at them, but yeah. I only have a minute amount of time to think about them. So, still, I've got some pretty interesting thoughts, I think. So let's get started. First up, we've got the Flame Waker. He is Mage's unique minion. A 3-mana 2/4. In terms of his vanilla stats, he's not amazing. As a 3-mana 2/4, he trades decently with 2-drops, but with other 3-drops and 4-drops. He's really not that great, but his text is a little bit redeeming. It is, after you cast a spell, deal 2 damage randomly split among all enemies. This functions the exact same way as Arcane Missiles does, except for it only shoots 2 little Arcane Missiles instead of 3. So, slightly weaker than Arcane Missiles. That being said, we also need to bear in mind the fact that spare parts are spells, and so is the coin. So, Flame Waker actually is like almost a better version of Pyromancer in some cases for mage decks. Now granted, he's not quite as good because Pyromancer's amazingness comes from the fact that one spell can wipe a board if it's against something like a Face Hunter. But that's exactly the niche that Flame Waker serves for Mage. This is a tech card for Mage, specifically Mech Mage, which will have so many spare parts, to absolutely destroy Face Hunter. Because what you have is you've got a little Snow Chugga from turn 2, sitting there and just freezing your opponent's face over and over. He's never hitting you with a weapon. Then you've got this Flame Waker, and every time your opponent goes face with a minion, instead of trading, you just cast some sort of spare part spell, and boom, there goes his board. So, this card's really cool. On the flip side, if we look back to a card like Dragon Egg, the Flame Waker card will also die off pretty quickly. I think we're going to see a resurgence of Zoo coming up in this meta. Let me pull up Dragon Egg, actually. Just give me 2 seconds here. Is it this one? Nope. Oh, it's a little bit... See, not there. No, no. Ah. Here it is. Bam. Dragon Egg. Whenever this minion takes damage, summon a 2/1 Whelp. So for a Zoo deck, what's going to happen if you run the Flame Waker against it is you're going to cast a spell, but it doesn't matter, because you're going to end up hitting this thing. If you hit it once, it lives and your opponent gets a 2/1. If you hit it twice, your opponent gets 2 2/1s. And I guess there is the possibility that you could hit it, it spawns a 2/1, because abilities work like that where they interrupt each other in Hearthstone, and then the next Arcane Missile kills off the 2/1. But in that case, all you've done is nullify the Flame Waker's ability to just deal 1 damage to a Dragon Egg, which sucks. On the same side of the coin, funny, because the coin helps here. But regardless, on the same side, Zoo also runs Nerubian Egg, and if you got this guy shooting stuff at Nerubian Egg over and over and over and over, that's not good either, because you're going to spawn your opponent a 4/4 for using this. So Flame Waker's a really anti-face Hunter tech card, in my opinion. His stats don't make him good enough to run against the control decks that run bigger, beefier minions. This guy running up against a Blade Master, that is a joke. But, yeah. Basically, Flame Waker, in my opinion, is an anti-face Hunter tech card, and I really like that. I like that Blizzard is doing something to try to make Hearthstone contain at least a little bit of skill, where you have to play a deck that does at least some trading and does something other than just let's play all these minions and let's just send them into the opponent's face, period. So Mech Mage, when Face Hunter tries to rear its ugly head, can board this in and simply become the superior aggro deck. So, that's Flame Waker, that's my opinion on it. Next up we have Core Rager, a 4-mana 4/4 beast. Vanilla stats, this is not worth it. I don't care if it has the beast subtype. let's instead just look at Houndmaster, which already rewards you for playing a beast and gets far better stats and grants a taunt. 4 mana 4/4 for a beast stats is not good enough in a hunter deck. Because hunter decks need high quality minions, like with the mid-range hunter. You need things that are just good quality minions, and this is not that. It does have a battle cry of if your hand is empty, gain +3/+3. Now, let's take a look at what this battle cry really says for you. Because first off, your hand has to be empty. That means in order to get use out of the battle cry, you're going into top deck mode. And as a hunter, as a class with no card draw, that means you're giving your final dying breath. If your opponent doesn't die from what you play, as you empty your hand, you lose. Period. So, Core Rager at best suddenly becomes the dying breath of a hunter trying to survive. So, okay, your hunter gives off a dying breath, and now this thing comes into play as a 7/7. Here's your new problem. Dr. Balanced is still Dr. Balanced. Your opponent's going to play a big game hunter, and now you're going to cry, because your dying breath just got shot with a shotgun in the face. So, Core Rager, I think, is actually completely irrelevant in Hearthstone. And this is the only card I will make such a harsh judgment on of these three. And honestly, in all of Blackrock, I don't think I've ever called anything as irrelevant as Core Rager is. So, I really think this card is literal garbage. Because, yeah, people already run Big Game Hunter, so if you trigger the Battle Cry, you get shot in the face. And if you don't trigger the Battle Cry, you've got a suboptimal minion. So you either get a dead minion, or a suboptimal minion. Both suck. No. Don't run Core Rager. Last but not least, we have the Imp Gang Boss, a Warlock unique minion. It is a 3 mana 2/4, again, just like with the Flamewaker. Not the greatest stats, but it has a demon subtype which is relevant. And it does have redeeming text, which is whenever this minion takes damage, summon a 1/1 Imp. The Imp is a demon. Yeah. So, first off, I just want to point out a really hilarious synergy that makes this an absolutely awesome zoo card. When people start running Flamewaker to combat Face Hunter, imagine a Flamewaker's hitting a Imp Gang Boss. Free imps. Yeah. All the more reason why you don't ever want a Flamewaker against a zoo deck. But that being said, in addition, your opponent is going to have to use damage in some way to remove the Imp Gang Boss. So, even if it is a 2/4, unless your opponent has Shadow Word Pain, in which case, what are they doing with Shadow Word Pain on a pre-stack? Really? That card isn't good enough to run in this meta. But, actually, who knows? This is a future meta. I guess Shadow Word Pain could remove this without summoning a 1/1 Imp. And this could get Caballed. But still, so could Flamewaker. Still, against the majority of decks, your opponent's going to have to damage this Imp Gang Boss to remove it. So even assuming he deals 4 direct damage to an Imp Gang Boss with Eviscerate or Swipe or whatever, some bigger minion, you still get a 1/1 Imp. So this effectively becomes closer to a 3/4, in my opinion. I'm not going to call it a 3/5, because honestly, the Imp Gang Boss loses its first body, trading into a Shredder, and the 1/1 Imp can just finish the job. So I still view this as just a 3/4, at best. Or, not at best, at worst. So, that's pretty good. And in addition, when you've got a zoo deck, I mean, we're starting to get a lot of really relevant demons, actually, for zoo, because you've already got Flame Imp and Voidwalker. Mistress of Pain isn't really a relevant zoo minion, but that's okay, so you've got a little hole there. This thing is basically the demon version of a Harvest Golem, to me. And that's really cool. And I'd argue that in a zoo deck, he is better than Harvest Golem. Because again, he can survive the damage that he takes and then summon a 1/1 Imp. And then him and the Imp together can go attack something. You'll get another Imp to replace, you know, the old one that died from attacking whatever. And yeah, I feel like this is just a really good zoo card. I don't know if we're going to start seeing a demon zoo deck. Again, there's not really a highly relevant 2-drop that's a demon, but you're starting to see that there's a lot of really good demons from the converted mana cost of 3 and up. You've got now Imp Gang Boss, which can just be played whenever. Before, we did have Felguard, which absolutely sucks. Don't ever play Felguard. If you need explanation why, just look at the card. You will figure it out, I promise. And then you've got Void Terror, which is a 3-mana demon as well, but that destroys minions to the left and right of it. So it's not always the best, and it's just a 3-mana 3/3. So it doesn't even trade with the 3-mana 3/4s of like Dark Cultist and Spider Tank that are running around right now. Imp Gang Boss survives those, and if somebody drops a 4/3, Imp Gang Boss can still trade with it. So now you've got a really relevant, good 3-drop demon. Then you've got Void Caller, you've got Doomguard, and you've got Dread Infernal. Let's touch on the Dread Infernal really quick, because if you take Imp Gang Boss and Dragon Egg and stick them in a deck, as in a zoo deck, with Void Caller, Doomguard, and Dread Infernal, first of all, your Void Caller now has the chance to pull Dread Infernal out, which will just make your opponent cry. And has the chance to pull a Doomguard out, which will make your opponent cry. But even if it doesn't, playing Dread Infernal is actually beneficial because you trigger Imp Gang Boss and get a 1/1 Imp, and you can trigger the new Dragon Egg. And my webcam is lagging. Hey, wake up. We're not done yet. I'll refresh you after this. But, yeah, then you play Dread Infernal, and you trigger the Imp Gang Boss to get a 1/1 Imp, and you trigger a Dragon Egg to get a 2/1 Whelp. What's that? What if you already have Imps and Whelps around on the field? Trade them into your opponent's minions, for God's sake. Go get some value, and maybe the Dread Infernal can even kill some opponent minions. That's not a problem. So, this is starting to get, in my opinion, a lot of synergy for a demon-style zoo deck. I don't know if there's enough relevant demons yet to make running something like Demon Fire or Fellheart really worth it. I'm going to reserve my judgment as to whether or not those cards have become relevant, but Imp Gang Boss in Demon Lock is probably pretty good. And in Zoo, I think it's just stellar. I think this is the replacement Harvest Golem for Zoo. And I think Zoo is actually getting to be a really kind of scary deck. Yeah. So, those are my thoughts on these cards, and, yeah. I'm hoping you guys, enjoyed. Leave feedback, as always, if you have any thoughts on the cards, and maybe something I missed. If you have thoughts on why Core Rager is good, and, I just completely missed it, please let me know. Because I don't see any potential in Core Rager at all. This is a terrible card, in my opinion, but I'm willing to be proven wrong. But, yeah, I'm really liking the game design right now out of Blizzard. Because the Blackrock Mountain deck shift is still a kind of an aggro-y deck shift, but, we're getting a lot of really neat interactions, so it's turning aggro into something that actually does still take skill. You want to play the Hungry Dragon, you gotta play around different things. Your opponent, you know, in a Dragro Priest, could have Cabal, could have Shadow Madness to mess around with a little 1/2. Come on, webcam, now is not the time. Stop. Stop. You want to play a Warlock deck, or against a Warlock deck, you got to think about Imp Gang Boss and how that could work. You've always got to think about what could pop out of a Void Caller. And then you get answer cards, too, that are just anti, you know, in this case, anti-Face Hunter tech. So, I'm actually starting to really like the Blackrock expansion. We'll see just where it goes, but yeah, I think this is pretty cool. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.